Hello Stampers, this is Sheila with Stamping Wishes. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing this watercolor background technique here that I show, and I'm going to bring the camera in a little bit. I wanted you to be able to see hopefully the shimmery effects that are going on here, and I'll show you how we got all of that as we go. All right, so let's go ahead and let me see if I got my camera back in order again, and we're going to do different colors this time. Okay, so this time I'm going to, I had used Roca Rose, the Pretty Peacock, some of the Mint Macaron, then I used watercolor paper, and then I used a shimmery white here. And then also for the little tag I did shimmery white, and inside is our regular Whisper white. Okay, and so today we're going to mix the colors up a little bit, and I decided that we would go with the new what is it called, Seaside Spray, and some Night of Navy. And then this is for our inside, and I'll go over the measurements as we go, and also they'll be listed on my blog, all the supplies and measurements. And I'm going to change this one up and give it a little bit of the pineapple yellow that we have, and give this one more layer than we had on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started first with the watercoloring piece, because we want to be able to get that out of the way. What I've done is I buy these silicone sheets. They're the ones you put in your oven, and when I do watercolor pieces or any of the techniques that's a little messy or watery, I try and use this. And what I've done here is cut a 3.5 by 5-inch piece of watercolor paper, and I use just painter's tape, and I put it down here. Now I've got it probably about 1/8 of an inch all over when this is done, because it does have a tendency, because of the water, to kind of bleed under the tape, which I'm okay with, because I'm going to trim it down a little bit so it fits all of our layers. Okay, so the colors that we're going to do today are the Night of Navy and the Seaside Spray. We're going to have some Old Olive in there, and then the Pineapple Punch. Okay, so we're going to spritz our water onto our paper here, and I will be using an aqua painter on top of it, and we'll squeeze the colors, or you could use your re-inkers, whichever you prefer to do. You want to get this saturated so that it does act like a watercoloring, and will have a soft appeal to it. So let's squeeze some of this here. Well, evidently I can't squeeze hard enough to get the stuff out. There we go. All right, so we're going to just come up here. I'm going to water it down, and we want to start up here in the corner. And again, I don't want it a harsh color, so I'm going to kind of bring some of the colors in. It looks like I see a little touch of pink in there, and that's okay. It was probably left over. I didn't wipe my brush well enough on the last go around, but there we go. Okay, so then I think next to it, we're going to put some of the, let's go with the lighter. Do we want, no, let's go with the green. I'm going to put the green next to it, because they're the darker of the hues, so let's get them on. And again, like I said, this is the first one I'm doing of that. It looks like I got a little piece of fuzz. Okay, and just kind of water. If it starts, your paper starts getting dry and it's not wanting to blend real well, then just add a little bit more water on it. And that's another reason I use the aqua painters with this, because it does have that flow of water coming through, and it helps me to keep that watercolor look going on. Okay, so next we'll go ahead and let's use the lighter blue. And that's the Seaside Spray, one of our new colors. There we go. And let's bring this in here. And we'll bring that, and we'll be bringing some other colors, of the colors a little bit more intense here in a second, but I mainly wanted to get these colors going. Okay, and as you can see, that's pretty light. And then we'll bring the yellow next to it, and then we'll bring some more of the darker blue down at the bottom. Okay, so let's bring our yellow in. There we go. Get a little bit brighter color there. Okay, and then let's come back with our Night of Navy and bring in a little bit more intense color around the edges there. Okay. And if you go a little bit into your yellow area, then you're going to get a tinge of the green. Now, if you hear some fireworks going on in the background, yes, I'm recording this on the 4th of July, the evening of, and we have, even though it's not allowed in our neighborhood, we do have fireworks going on, so you'll just need to bear with me on it. I think we need to bring a little bit more of that seaside spray in there. Like to get a little bit more of that color coming in. And what I liked about the first one really was some of the pink colors, but I just didn't feel it with the color combinations that I was using. So I kept with these more muted blues and greens and yellows. All right, so let's go ahead and spritz it one more time, and then we're going to use, because I want to make sure that those colors blend real well there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this in, so I'll mute this during this period. The paint, the frost white paint, or I should say ink, I've mixed it up. I usually put about 2 drops to about this much of the 90% alcohol. The higher the alcohol content, the quicker it dries. That's why we go with the little bit higher one there. So I'm going to spritz this real good. You can see it, I don't know if you can see it in the film, but it's just starting to really shimmer really nice. So we're going to set this aside to dry. And while it's drying, we'll go ahead and stamp our flowers that we're going to be using and get them colored. So let's go over here. I've got it set up in one of my stamparatuses here. And remember, when you're using the photopolymer stamps, you need to use also the pad. If you'll notice underneath here, I do have a pad going on with that. And let's see if this lines up right from the last time I did it. Okay, looks good. And I am using the basic gray. I kind of like the softness of the grays when I'm doing watercoloring like that, instead of the darker blacks. And that way it kind of blends in a little bit better than if we were using the black. So we're going to go in here and press and give that ink a little bit of time to transfer over into the paper. And as you can see, got a couple of spots there that we need to bring in a little bit more. Okay. I think that looks good. And what I like about this one set is it does have that watercolor effect to it. That's what made me think about a watercolor background, was the stamp set itself reminded me of watercoloring. All right, so on this one we're going, since we're working with the greens and the blues like we are in the yellows, I think we're going to bring in our Old Olive, and we'll come in with our dark first. And I'm going to come around with the darker one, and then I'm going to blend it into the lighter one. And so if we're assuming our light source is on the left side, or actually coming from this side over here, making a shadow on this side and our light on that side, we want to keep all of that direction working the same way so that it has that realistic effect of it. Okay. Come in here and then come through here and then here. Now we'll bring in the lighter old olive here. Old Olive's been, I know, since I think started stamping, and that was in the early 2000s when I first got introduced to Stampin' Up. And Old Olive has always been one of my go-tos, as well as the Night of Navy. Those two colors together, to me, is just, it's just a beautiful mix together. So I'm coming across with the light to blend in that harsher line of the dark, and then coming out with a little bit of light. Now, if I wanted to lighten this the lighter Old Olive a little bit more, I could come back with the color lifter and even bring off some more of that. But I'm kind of liking the color that it is now, and I really don't want to make it any lighter than it is. But again, the most important thing is to bring that color back over your dark, so you don't have that definite line between them. Because these kind of remind me of In Texas Our Bluebonnets, I thought I would bring in some of the new balmy blue shades and use them. I think I grabbed both. No, here's the darker sea. We could mix those. Let's mix them up. Okay, this is the dark balmy, and this is the sea spray. So we've got two different colors coming in, and see what they look like together. So come in here with our blue here and a little blue there, and then we'll bring in some more of the blue. I know y'all can't see it on film, but my two little dogs are afraid of the fireworks, and I've got one of their beds up underneath it, and she keeps trying to get on my leg for me to pick her up and protect her from the sounds and stuff. So now she's in there burying herself in her blanket, I guess, to hide from the sound as well. Okay, so there's our flowers there, and I went ahead and brought in some of the yellow. I just thought just to tip off some yellow here and there would be pretty, so I just wanted to bring in some of the yellows. All right, like the way that looks. All right, and I didn't have any of the next thing I want to do is get some ribbon. I had some of this Mossy Mellow, I think it is, but it kind of looks like the darker Old Olive. I had that, but I really like the way my other card had the tie. And since I don't have any, this was our new mint macaron ribbon that's just gorgeous. But since I didn't have that, and I wanted to accent a little bit with the yellow, I went ahead and brought out, I know, retired stamp, ribbon, but hopefully you'll forgive me because it's all I have right now. My ribbon order just went in today, so hopefully I'll get some next week of some of the newer ribbons and colors that we have going on. So we want to tie this. If you've ever tied one of these knots, they always tell you go right over left and then left over right. Let's see if I'm doing it right. And then as you bring it, and I think I did it just the opposite, but we'll see. As you bring it, as you can see, and you pull this, you get that pretty knot right on top like so. Okay, so you might want to jot that down as a tip if you've never had done that. And I am always very generous with my ribbon because I hate to get to the end of it and can't tie it because I've gotten too short a ribbon. So yes, I do. And you can use your scrap ribbon and add them as accents on your card. So that's a good way of doing it. All right, so now we want to take, this is one of our other scraps. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the Sending You Healing Vibes. Let's go ahead and get that on there. And we're going to do it at the end because what I did was just, I didn't really have a measurement for it. I just kind of brought it as close as I could to the bottom without going over the edge. Leave a little bit there for us to make our little flagged in there. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and put this away. We'll be using that in a second for the inside of it. All right, let's put that over there, and then I'm going to bring my cutter in. And let's move this out of the way. I'm going to bring the cutter in so that I can get it as close as I can without cutting in, and I'm probably out of frame right now, and I do apologize, but okay, let's bring this over. We don't need a lot there, so we'll just trim that off. I know we've got that down pretty thin. All right, so let's go ahead and put this off to the side and flag our end here, or make a little banner, however you want to call it. Okay. I almost didn't cut deep enough there, but I think that's going to be okay. I shouldn't have pulled that cardstock like that, because it does, there we go, makes it a little rough sometimes. Okay, so there's that there, and we can go ahead and put this on this layer here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And you'll notice in my first card I had colored some of the rhinestones using the Roca Rose, and I think this time we may do it with the Night of Navy. I think would be pretty. Okay, let's set this aside and let's see how this is drying, if this is ready to go. It is, so let's go ahead and bring this up. And as you notice, like I said, it was going to leave a little bit of a layer, and I wanted to trim it down anyway because of the layers I have in the back. So let's put that to the side. Bring our trimmer back out again. Alright, so let's bring this up here, and we will take off, because it was at 3.5, and I think the measurement of my next card was 3 3/3. So if we can bring it down to where that will, okay, let's go here. And then come here. And see, it just trims it off real nicely. And then if I have to, I'll trim some of my other ones. That's why I hate to, sometimes on these type techniques, to give the exact measurements, because I have to play with them every once in a while to get them to exactly where I want it to be. Isn't that gorgeous? Really, really pretty. Okay, so let's set that aside. And the color that is going to go, we're going to layer it like so. So we're going to be using, and if you notice, I have like 1/8 of an inch between all of this. So let's see if I have this trimmed down enough. And I think we're going to end up trimming these down a little bit more, just so that I get the closer layers like I like for it. So let's see what we ended up with here. We have it right at 3 1/8. So we'll come to 3 1/4. All right, and then on the other measurement, we have, let's see where we're at. We're at 4 1/8. No, I'm sorry, we're at 4 5/8. So we'll bring it on out to 4 3/4. Okay, so let's say it may already be there. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that worked. All right, okay, so there's that layer. And then our next one is the Night of Navy. So let's bring it around here because it's going to be too white as well. And since we're at, and again, I will have all these measurements, but that should be 3 1/4. We're going to go at 3. Let's go ahead and bring it at 3 1/2 right now. Let me see what it looks like. And then we can bring it to 3 3/8 if we need to. And let's see where we've got it here. It's at 4 3/4, or a little over 4 7/8. Let's see how that layers. Oh, I think that'll work. And then this one on top of it. So we'll just stop there. Very, very pretty. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Since I've got this out, let me go ahead and score at 4 1/4. And then we'll start layering some of our card, and then we'll do the inside real quick. So here we go, 4 1/4. And buried under all these colors and stuff are my other tools, so we'll bring that in there. And let's go ahead and start adhering this. I'm going to bring out my silicone. I like to do that when I'm on a surface like this so that I make sure that I don't get any of that adhesive on my surface while I'm working with the card. So let's bring this on in. For those of you who have been thinking about becoming a demonstrator, this is a good time to consider being a demonstrator, because you're getting a lot more for your $99 investment. You'll be getting, I believe, now that I brought it up, I believe it's $99. I think you get an extra $50 worth of free merchandise with your demonstrator order. And so it's a great time to join, especially if, say, you're not really, some people don't really want to get into the business aspect of it when they first get in. They were more of a hobbyist, and that's good. That's the way I started. And so you use your discounts and maybe have a few friends come over and stamp with you and place some orders with you, and then you can maintain your hobby by doing that and stamping with some friends. So there's a lot of fun to be done in it. So okay, so let me bring this up just a tad right there. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll bring this on into here. But aren't the colors coming out pretty? I wasn't real sure. You know, when you're mixing colors like this, you're always like, okay, we'll see what it's going to come out to be. Also, if you're looking for any retired stamps, I am still uploading some of my retired stamps, and they can be found. There's a button on my blog when you go to stampingwishes.com, and you just click on the retired stamps button, and when you do, you'll end up getting all of the pictures. And I have a BOGO going right now, so if you say you pick out $50 worth of stamps, then you can go to my website and order $50 worth of new merchandise, and I will send you the stamps. The stamps will be at no cost, and all I would charge you is for the postage on it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, and we could, if we wanted to, put this up, but I'm going to keep it flat because I have the little sign that's going to come up here, and I'm going to put that on dimensions. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some adhesive in here. It's sometimes a little bit hard to want to cover these pretty watercolor backgrounds like this, but at the same token, the stamp itself is awfully pretty. So I'm going to bring it right down here, lining up with the corner more than anything, getting a good even spacing between the left side and the bottom there. Okay, and then let's get us a couple of dimensions here and put this on. Now, one of the things we're going to do is take some Wink Estella, since I'm making so much of this shimmery, and we're going to go over the leaves and the flowers with the Wink Estella just to kind of carry forth. And I'm not going to press that down until I'm sure where I want it to be. I want some of that border to show, and it does there, so I think that looks good. Okay, press it down. And then let's take our Wink Estella and just go over these leaves real well. Stamp that inside, and we will have another wrap up of our card, again using the watercoloring background technique with a lot of shimmer, which all of us love the shimmer. Okay, so let's bring this in, and if you recall what I did, and I do have my Stamparatus set up for the get well soon. So we'll put that in first, and that way we know where to put our flowers at. Here's the get well soon. Now, since this is a different stamp, I've got the mat that goes underneath the photopolymer out of here. And yes, I did invest in 2 Stamparatus because I just don't like to have to change out my, I know that's silly, but it makes it so quick and easy when I'm doing a lot of cards, just to be able to do that real fast. Okay, I think that's where we're going to put it because we need it off to the side since we're going to have the floral over here. So let's go ahead and get our basic gray back out again. Stamp up. Let our ink transfer over. Perfect. Love these fonts. We've got so many pretty fonts going on. Just love them. Okay. Take this off and we'll use our regular stamping tools here to stamp the rest of them. So let's see what we'll need, if we need this one or the long one. And let's get our stamp set out. So what you've got here is the outline stamp here, and then you've got some of the colors that you can put in here, again giving that watercolor effect. And this particular leaf will, this piece here will kind of fill in for this because these two are going to go over in here. Now if I had wanted to, I could have taken these and placed on it and done the same thing with this to get that same soft watercolor effect, but I love my blends, so I just had to play around with my blends. Okay, so let's go ahead. Again, I'm going to use the basic gray so that we can get that nice soft color in the background. And let's go ahead and use our longwood here and bring our basic gray back out. All right, so let's bring this in, I think right about there. Now hopefully as I'm doing this, because it's this kind of stamping, when you're double stamping, you really do need to get your head over the scene to be able to know that you're hitting the right areas, but hopefully I'll be able to do this without sticking my head in front of the film. Okay, so let's see, what color do we want to do with this one? I think we're going to go with the soft Seaside Spray. Let's keep it nice and soft. And we can put this one on here. Okay, let's bring the, and let's see if we can line it up. And if we don't, it won't matter because it is a watercolor effect. So the softness of it is what we're looking for. And let's bring it down about right there and see what we get. Beautiful. Okay, so now what we'll do is bring in the other one, which will take care of these up here. And again, this is the Hostess set, so if you have $150 in order, then you can buy or use your free items, not buy, but use your free item and order one of the Hostess sets that are available. There's some real pretty ones this time. I've somehow or another gotten a red little fuzz there. We want to get that out so it doesn't interfere with the stamping. All right, so let's bring this in. And again, we kind of have to line this up the best we can with the area that we're working with. Beautiful. Isn't that just gorgeous? All right, so Bitsy, you're just going to have to wait, little one. I'll pick you up in a little bit. All right, let's see what else we need to do on here. Yes, our little dragonflies. And again, I did them in the gray. And then I came back with a little bit of yellow on the wings, just to bring some of the yellow to pop out. So let's go ahead and bring them around here. We'll do one right here. And let's do one right here. And let's do one more. Let's bring him right about here. All right, beautiful. But I love watercoloring, so I hope that you'll try this technique if you've not done it before. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to go with the lighter shade of our pineapple and pineapple punch, I should say. I'm terrible about using just one of the names on our colors. So, okay, there we go. And I think we've got a card wrap here. All right, so let's glue this inside real quick, and then we'll call it a card. And I want to thank you for stopping in, and if you liked the video and the technique, please give me a thumbs up, and be sure and subscribe so you'll get some future videos that I do. And be sure and go over to my blog, because I've got other projects on there, and we just recently had one of our Glitter Queen blog hops, so if you missed it and you go to my blog, you'll be able to find that too, and trace some of the other Glitter Queens there with some really, really cute cards and 3D items made. So there we go. Here's our version of it in blue, and again, it's just so gorgeous, the glimmering that's going on. And here it is with more of the pink and blues in it, and the mint macarons. So until next time, happy stamping, and God bless.